Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BSing Sports. I know we just were live a few minutes ago, but as we got off our podcast, there was breaking news from the MLB, and we wanted to be the first podcast to bring it to you. It's been reported by Jeff Passan of ESPN something or another. I don't even know where he's from. That
He's ESPN representative, yeah.
Fernando Tatis Jr. of the San Diego Padres, shortstop, has been suspended. Ryan, what's on the story that you got?
He's suspension, not suspended yet.
Yeah, he's not suspended yet. However, because stars are treated differently than actually it was just announced Tatis is getting 80 games. Yep. But stars are treated a little bit differently. Now, first the MLB, violating the MLB drugs policy has changed a lot since the steroid era. As I've touched on before, Bud Selig screwed that whole thing up, but with Rob Manfred, they implemented a policy. Your first violation is 80 games. That is half a season's worth of games. That includes the postseason. Fernando Tatis is out for the postseason for the Padres unless they can, challenge it and get it overturned. Fernando Tatis is out for the postseason. This is huge for the Padres. This makes the acquisition of Juan Soto even more important. And hopefully Juan Soto can bring the same energy that he seems to have early in his Padres tenure to these games. This is big, though. This is a huge loss. They had just gotten Tatis back from an injury. They finally had the whole lineup together. Now, granted, they weren't hitting very well. I think over the 7 games that they've had since they acquired Soto, they were hitting like 190 something. But when you add 2 brand new big pieces to the lineup like that, that's generally going to happen. You're taking 2 guys out who were in the flow of the season and replacing them with 2 guys who one of them flew across the coast. The other one hadn't even taken a rep this season. So, and Fernando Tatis being that one, this is huge news for the Padres. This instantly takes them out of the running for the World Series favorite, in my opinion. And it just jumps the Dodgers. I mean, they weren't going to catch the Dodgers in the division anyway because of the lead they had built, but this is huge for the playoff race.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we're looking at it, we're Phillies fans, we're looking at it from a wild card standpoint because they're definitely not catching the Dodgers in the division at this point. That really opens the door for the Phillies to maintain or catch rather the possibility of maintaining the second wild card spot, which is huge when you're talking about a wild card game that's going to be either in Philadelphia or San Diego. So yeah, I 100% agree. Fernando Tatis Jr. being suspended for the next 80 games really opens the door for other teams to just either run away with their division or maintain and create havoc in the playoffs, i.e. the Phillies. Jimmy?
Like Ryan already said, it opened up the door for another team to make the playoffs. I think the Phillies are already in the second wild card spot.
Maintaining, yeah.
But they had the tiebreaker over the Padres and Cardinals already. Don't matter. But now, since the Padres losing a big name in the organization, they're going to open up another wild card spot, in my opinion.
So you think the Brewers or Cardinals make the playoffs in the wild card because Tatis is now suspended? You don't think the rest of their lineup can hold up? Serious question.
I don't.
Not sarcasm.
I don't. I think it's a lot to handle on 2 guys.
It's not. I mean, the rest of the lineup wasn't terrible to begin with, but I agree that the momentum that they had built at the trade deadline is now kind of haltered and shaded because their star shortstop who was coming back to help lead the team to the promised land suspended because he wasn't following league rules.
Yeah, and the punishment, is massive. And very rarely do you ever see guys, appeal these suspensions and they get overturned. I doubt that'll be the case here too. All the pressure, Juan Soto just showed up and all the pressure on him just like that.
Yep.
He has to play better than he did in Washington now. There's no excuses for it. I mean, whether they if they miss the postseason because of this, that's one thing entirely. That's going to be just absolutely mind-blowing. But if they get to the postseason and they're one and done because of this, then that's still a topic of that. I think that's actually going to help the Padres evaluate Juan Soto in the future. Can he be the second star with Manny Machado? Can he do it himself, or do they need Fernando Tatis? Are they going to pay Juan Soto after the 2024 season if without Fernando Tatis they can't get it done? Without the pitching that, all of their contracts come off after 2023, they can't get it done. Now, like I said, Tatis already coming off the injury. I don't know necessarily that from a production standpoint, this is going to be as big as big of a loss immediately as people think. But once Tatis got back in the swing of things, he was obviously going to outplay whoever the Padres could put.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just traded away his backup, their top prospect, in C.J. Abrams. They just dealt him to Washington.
Yeah. So now they've got a gap at shortstop. They're losing a huge bat in the lineup, bat number 3 or 4, wherever Tatis was hitting at the time.
He's hitting leadoff.
Yeah, hit leadoff.
I mean, even more important, a leadoff hitter, no longer in the lineup. A guy who's going to, with the remainder of the season, probably catch 6 or 7 home runs and maybe ding 20 RBIs. That's a big loss. That's a big loss.
Yeah, it's massive, dude. Huge playoff.
So Ryan said about pressure, like on Juan Soto, he couldn't handle the pressure in Washington after they traded.
So I think that's a different topic.
Okay.
We can have that conversation another time, and I would love to. I don't think he couldn't handle the pressure in Washington. I'm very specific I don't think he wanted to handle the pressure in Washington.
Fair enough. Different topic. I like it. But
yeah, I just seemed like he wanted out of Washington. I mean, immediately as soon as he showed up, I talked about it a lot on the pod. His energy, his effort in the game was not there in Washington. And then San Diego, he comes over and like one of his first games over there makes that good running catch in the gap. That's a play that he looked like he would have half hustled to in Washington.
Correct.
His energy is back. I'm curious as to how he responds to this body language wise, now knowing that he's not going to get the rest of the season with Tatis Jr. as he thought he would. I can't stress it enough. This is huge, man. This is huge.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us again here on BSing Sports for our 6-minute show where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.
We might be done this time, guys. I promise.
What?